I didn't feel a connection with Blair for a very long time. I wondered, what have I done? I said, you could push for up to 2 hours. Oh. I don't have that in me. I feel like I'm at death's door. I'm done. Yeah. I was so sad. I was so crushed. I felt like it was grief. I felt like I was suffocating. Is this motherhood? Asking for support felt like a direct insult to my ability to mother. I bought a packet of tampons and a packet of pregnancy tests, and I'm like, it's going to be one or the other.
Welcome back to another episode of the Belly2Birth Podcast. I'm Shari Lyon, and today is probably going to be a really beautiful episode because I have one of my clients in, and I know that these are your most favourite episodes of birth stories. Before I jump in though, I just want to remind you once again that if you are looking for support in your pregnancy, in your birth, or especially if you have experienced any kind of birth trauma, or if you are experiencing any kind of postnatal anxiety or depression, as a leading coach in this space, I want you to know I can support you through this. I have some beautiful programs, coaching programs that are not just for pregnancy. I support women through all of the phases, from conception, pregnancy, also postpartum, and especially through the, identity shift that women experience going from maiden to mother. I want you to know I can support you in that. So if it's something you're interested in, I will drop all of the details below in the show notes. And though, let's get into this episode. I would really love to introduce my past client, Lia Wall. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Shari. I'm really excited to be here.
So tell my listeners a little bit about yourselves, because you're a black power woman. I love watching what you do, not just as a mum, but also in business. So share a little bit about yourself.
So I have a beautiful husband, Matt. Matt and I run a residential building company together. So coming into being quite a large business, we have 18 staff. In addition to that, we have 2 beautiful children. We have Blair, who's 4.5, and George, who's 1 on Wednesday.
Yeah, so you're doing it all.
I am. It's my toxic trait.
It's the juggle, right?
Yes.
And though I love it because we can.
Yes,
we
exactly.
as women can do it all.
Yes, absolutely we can, yeah.
So I'd love you to take us back to your first pregnancy with Blair.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Was it a planned pregnancy?
No. I bought a packet of tampons and a packet of pregnancy tests, and I'm like, it's going to be one or the other. And I went to the North Lakes toilets and took a pregnancy test, and it was positive.
In the toilet?
I was by myself. Yes, I was actually getting married in November, and we found out in May. So it was definitely, a surprise. But a very welcomed one once I got over the shock of being 6 months pregnant at my wedding. Very welcomed, yeah.
Did you know I was pregnant at my wedding?
Were you?
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a whole plan and nothing went.
No, I had to get a new dress 6 weeks out, so.
Well, I see, for me, I think what I did, I found out I was pregnant. We were engaged, but we hadn't planned anything. We'd just been overseas, came back, and I was like, let's buy the house, let's get married. I want to enjoy being married for a little bit. I was happy to wait till I was in my early 30s to have kids. I was 26 at this time. No.
No.
Fell pregnant as soon as we, within a few months of being back. And then I'm like, all right, let's just do it. We organised our wedding in 5 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't quite showing.
Yes.
And
I was very much showing, and I had to get a new dress, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. Now. So you're pregnant, you get married, lots going on.
Mm.
After you got married, the next thing was the birth.
So we had our business. We were only in business for about 12 months at that point. So it was a very hectic time. So I was pretty much doing 14-hour days the whole entire time. I didn't get maternity leave. We were actually designing our new display and furnishing our display coming up to her birth. So I was in pre-labor while I was furniture shopping with my parents. Wow. So we were in a really, really busy time. I don't think I didn't have time to develop that mind-body connection with my pregnancy just because I was so busy. But I really tried. I attribute it to when you're a teenager and you spend Monday to Friday eating healthy and then on the weekend you're like, oh, I'm just going to like party. And it was kind of the same. I'd work all week and then on the weekend I'd be like stretching and doing all these things for my pregnancy. So yeah, it was a hard balance at that time.
What led you to, because you worked with me and you did a group hypnobirthing course.
I did an online one because it was during COVID.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that experience like for you?
For me, it was fine. For my husband, he struggled to kind of connect, I think, with that. And so he would always fall asleep. So he was very unprepared for the birth. I think he was like, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I'm like, well, if you had stayed awake, then maybe you would know. But yeah.
Building a business.
It was just so
a nighttime
hard.
session.
Yeah. No shade on him. He tried his best, but he was just exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did lead me into Blair's birth?
So I went into pre-labor. It was like a Thursday night and I was kind of up all night thinking like I think something might be happening. And then on the Friday, it was during the floods. I don't know if you remember the 2022 floods, but it was really bad. So pretty much it rained all day on the Friday and it was like that night it started to like ramp up a lot. And yeah, I ended up going there. I went there, they sent me home, and then I ended up going back in an ambulance because once they started, it was just so hectic and they'd given me, I can't remember what drug it was, but they'd given me something for the pain, like a codeine or something. Okay. And so, yeah, I ended up going to hospital in an ambulance, even though I was in labour for another like 24 hours or something like that. Right. So, yeah, that's kind of how that all began.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you birthed at the public hospital?
Yes. Yep. So my sister, I had the opportunity to watch her give birth twice and it was amazing, like the most beautiful births ever. So I had a really positive experience watching her and she was at Caboolture Hospital. So it just seemed like a no-brainer to me to go to Caboolture, yeah.
Okay. So the ambulance took you in, then you stayed in hospital then until... she was born. Yeah. What was that 24 hours like for you once you're at the hospital?
It was actually a really beautiful labour. I didn't really know that there was anything sort of like inherently wrong. They were really quite – I don't know if I would like to be told or not that they're thinking something like about it not progressing in a certain way or but it was actually beautiful. I got to 8 centimetres dilated and I said I was happy to have vaginal checks and thankfully I knew what my options were and what I couldn't consent to based on what you told me. So I knew I was happy to have those checks. They said I was 8 centimetres. They gave me some morphine and everything was travelling fine. And it wasn't until I got fully dilated that everything kind of stopped. Okay. Nothing was progressing. And they came in and they did an ultrasound and they said that she just wasn't coming down like they'd expect. So, yeah, that was the labour itself was beautiful. Everything that we spoke about during the hypnobirthing I was able to kind of pull on. It was a really beautiful experience up until like I was fully dilated.
Yeah, okay. What techniques did you find you really drew on throughout that?
Definitely the positioning. We had the book like there the whole time and everyone was well versed on the book and doing the different pressure points and things like that. So definitely just being able to move around. I actually instinctually was doing some really weird like twisty, bendy things and it's actually because she ended up being a deflexed head with brow presentation. Right. So I think that I was naturally
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, my body must have just known that something needed to happen to kind of get her in that position. And then the breathing as well was a really big one, just making sure I like stayed in control of my breath and my thoughts and, you know, just really stayed in control, I guess.
Yeah, okay. What thoughts or feelings were you going into that maybe the others in the room didn't know about, like when you were in that? Like, did you feel something wasn't right at any point?
No, I actually didn't.
Yeah, okay.
I actually felt like things were going really well. I didn't understand why they came in to check to do an ultrasound. I didn't understand like, why are you doing that? I'm killing it, aren't I? And so when that kind of happened, I think prior to that, they asked me to start pushing him. Matt wasn't even in the room. He I'd been there for so long. He was like hungry and tired. I don't know, sleeping somewhere. And I was like, but my husband's not here. Like, is this the part where I meet my baby? But then it ended up that, they were only just trying to see, because I was fully dilated, seeing if pushing would help her to come down, but obviously it didn't. So
did they do the scan and see she was deflexed? Did she?
Yeah, well, I don't think they could really make out that she was deflexed, but they could see that she was still very high up.
Okay.
She hadn't come down.
I'm going to grab my baby here for a sec because I want to educate on this, because this is something that I definitely teach in the class, and this is something that I find that when labour is not progressing, or if it's super painful, if you are getting back-to-back contractions, or the contraction pattern is very sporadic, or if you're not dilating, we need to start questioning the position of the baby.
Yeah.
And this is something that I actually, probably since that first course, because the first course was the other program that I taught, and we did not teach anything.
I can attest to that, because the second time I got it done, baby.
Exactly. So this is also why I developed my own program, because I bring in a lot of different things. And I also want this podcast to be super educational for all of you, so that if you do experience, what Lia has experienced in her birth story, that this piece might just help you go, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I think this is something too that I like to kind of call myself a bit of a birth detective.
Yes.
And I think we all need to stop before we go into the interventions about going, all right, let's look at all of what's going on, right? So we've got the body, we've got the baby. For the baby to fit through the pelvis, it's like putting a key into a lock. When everything is aligned, the key will come in, unlock the lock that opens the door, right? So the baby is the key, the lock is the pelvis. When everything is aligned, the baby will come in, do some cardinal movements and rotations and open the cervix. If you're not dilating, or but you were dilating. So I was
dilating, but my contractions were just all over the shop. Once I got to that point, it was like here, there, and everywhere. And that's kind of their clue that
there was sporadic.
And I wasn't weeing either. I couldn't release any urine the whole time.
So Blair, Lia's baby girl, instead of having her chin tucked in, which is better for the cervix to get pulled over and for the baby to come down and be born, she was like this. In what we call a deflex head, so brow presentation.
Yeah.
Look at the difference between that part of the head and that.
Yeah, that is a big diameter. Yeah,
it is. It's like that. They talk about full dilation being 10 centimeters. I don't really talk about that because not all babies are the same size, right?
Yes.
And though, if that's the case, then a brow presentation is like 14.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
13, 14. So this is where there is an obstruction. And when you think about positioning, so you were trying to figure it out. Did your team actually support you in getting you into other positions?
No.
Yeah.
No. And I had a transition of midwives throughout because it had been so long. So I had one midwife, and then she was on some sort of contract. So she had to leave. She was at the 8 centimeters where everything was going really great. Right. And then I had another one. So I think that continuity of care wasn't quite there to put the pieces together.
Yeah. And so I'm going to bring in the full education.
I was like, where's my
pelvis? So if we have a baby that's deflexed, was she posterior or was she still anterior?
From what I understand, she was anterior.
Yeah. So here's the other thing too, because it's more common for a posterior baby. This is where the baby's back is on mother's back to go deflex. But maybe what you were doing by moving was helping her. I don't know, did you feel back labour?
Mine was very much
around the front.
Yeah.
So you can still have a baby in what they call optimal position.
Yeah.
But be deflex, or the other thing that can happen is they can go asynclitic.
Yeah.
So that's an asynclitic head. But coming back to the analogy of the baby coming into the pelvis like a key into a lock, if you can imagine the key, but the end of the key is bent, it's not going to go through. But what happens is we stay, like if she was this way deflexed, I can't really kind of hold it this way, but we stay upright, gravity's going to keep pulling her into the pelvis.
Yeah.
Which is not then giving her space to actually do the maneuvers.
Yeah.
And you got to think gravity's pulling her in. The uterus is going, come on.
Yeah.
And like jamming this key in crooked.
Yeah.
And that's why she wasn't coming down because her head position.
Yeah.
What I would have loved and hoped that caregivers would do, or through the education that you learn, is it's about going, all right, this isn't working. We can
shake her back out.
We can keep like trying to jam this key in crooked. It becomes painful. It becomes like you're just not progressing. So I'm like, I have a saying, and everyone knows me for this: when in doubt, reverse the baby out.
Yes.
And so when we shift gravity, then we can drop. And now you're probably all going, well, how do I do that? Well, come and do a course with me and I'll actually show you, because I have a full alignment protocol that I teach my clients. But who knows?
You're going to love George's birth,
I can't wait.
Everything that we learn in that second one made it happen.
I love that because and look, you don't know what you don't know,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest. Sorry. I'm going to have to fix my baby. All right, everyone, my baby's going to be like a little bit off. So I also want to advocate for caregivers here because they're not necessarily taught this.
No.
Either.
Yeah.
But this is also where within the medical model, they're like, well, this baby's not going to come out, rather than troubleshooting, which some definitely are amazing midwives in our hospitals who are trained in all of these things. And though it's like, how about we troubleshoot a little bit? Because was she in any distress or anything?
So they did end up putting a clip on her head.
Oh, so that's a fetal scalp monitor.
Yeah. Just because they couldn't actually find it on the straps.
Right.
But no, she thankfully was actually great the entire time. Yeah.
Right. So if Bubs, this is what I would have done.
Yeah.
And again, this is kind of just a learning piece, which then you learn for your second birth. Is I would have got you like into positions that would help kind of shift her out of the pelvis, do some releasing to just see.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do, right? Our babies, this is their birth as well.
And Blair, she's true to her personality there. So
it's like she will do what she wants to do when she wants to do it. Yeah. And so we can only our job during labour is to make space. It's their job to do the rotation.
Yeah.
So deflex wasn't coming down. Was it literally just then straight to caesarean?
No.
Okay.
So they came in and they said, look, it's looking like a caesarean, and I was exhausted. They said, we can give you the Pitocin drip and an epidural and give you some rest and see if your body will keep the contractions going to try and, bring her down. And I really wanted my vaginal birth. And so I was like, if I do the caesarean, I'm always going to wonder what that other path looked like.
Yeah.
So I did that for 3 hours and they came back with the ultrasound and she had not moved an inch.
Yeah.
Which
like in hindsight, like when you have like this kind of education, you go, okay, you were then put on your side. Were you on your side?
Bed,
oh, you were sitting. Okay. So you were still basically upright.
Yeah. There was no space.
They should have laid you at least on your side and supported your knees.
Yeah, no.
Because there's no way she would have been able to move, because you've still got gravity pulling her in. So again,
education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's all hindsight stuff.
Yes,
However, I hope you don't mind that I'm like pointing things out.
Absolutely not.
I want this education.
Yeah, I want it for other women too.
Yeah,
sure.
to go, okay, if you get into the same kind of like where this is not working, let's ask some questions.
Yeah.
So you did that for a few hours.
Yeah.
She hadn't moved.
And I really lost my conviction of myself too. Like I was so tired. And I said, how long could I push for? Because I've got to do the pushing. They said, you could push for up to 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't have that in me. Like I feel like I'm at death's door. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was deflating. But I am glad I did it. I think, knowing the information now, but at the time I'm glad I did it because I felt like, mentally I would have always been a bit disappointed that I didn't try. What if, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't leave that on the table.
Yeah, okay. And what was that moment like when you
I was so sad.
led into the theatre?
I was so sad. I was so crushed. I was really sad. I felt like it was grief. Yeah.
grieving the birth that you had prepared and wanted.
Yeah, it was really sad.
And what was Matt going through in that moment? How was he feeling?
He should have stayed awake. Matt did not cope.
Yeah.
He did not. I had my sister with me too.
Okay.
So, you know, and Matt will openly say like he is so glad that she was there because he just didn't cope. And so I actually think by the time we went to the cesarean, he was kind of happy that it was over.
Yeah. Okay.
He had certainty then that this is the end now. We get to finally meet her. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you experienced within the cesarean that you would like people to know that maybe you didn't know about?
Not necessarily. I think it was very straightforward. I was just done by that point. So it wasn't an enjoyable experience for me. I think it was just left too long and perhaps I shouldn't have done that, you know. So I think the cesarean was very straightforward. I did have issues with my breathing but I think that was just exhaustion. Yeah. And I didn't feel anything when she came up. There was no like, yay, my baby's here. I was just done. So the cesarean itself, everyone did an amazing job. They all took photos and they tried to make it a beautiful experience, but I was just so exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, take us into the postpartum.
Yeah.
And this is something that we discussed before coming on. I really would love for you to share, if you're open to it, your experience of.
Absolutely, yeah. I have a history of mental health struggles. So I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder at 16. So I had experience with it. I was in a good place before falling pregnant. Obviously, it was stressed with the business, but overall, I was in a really good spot. But after Blair's journey, obviously such a big journey for her, she had to go into special care. She had jaundice. There was lots of, you know, she had to have a lumbar puncture and all this sort of stuff. So I didn't sleep for 3 days during the labour. And then she was in special care. I was having to pump my milk and do all that sort of stuff. So I immediately was very anxious and I felt like I was suffocating and I was like, is this motherhood? You know, which for some people it is. For some people it's super beautiful, you know, that there's variations of normal. But for me, I was very, very anxious and I could barely sleep. And then once I kind of got into it at home, the main thing that started to show up for me it's quite a big symptom of anxiety was postpartum rage.
Okay.
So I was anything could tip me off. And I was very mad at Blair. And this might make people uncomfortable, right?
Yeah,
but that was my
talk
reality.
about it. Yeah. I
was very angry. I didn't feel a connection with Blair for a very long time. I wondered what have I done? So the signs for me was irritability, insomnia, just crying, you know, taking it out on my baby, like yelling at her, like just really horrible things. And then I think the biggest thing as well is not feeling that not that connection. And people don't sometimes feel it and that's normal, but I didn't feel it for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you recognised or realised that this isn't good, like what were the next steps for you then?
Well, thankfully for me, I already had a psychologist and have a psychologist. So she was very much supporting me throughout that process. But I think I still went through the motions probably more than I had to and kept a lot of it private, even if you looked at me, you'd be like, oh, she's really struggling. But I tried to keep it under wraps as much as possible. I think the psychologist was the biggest thing. And I think the biggest breaker for me was actually 5 months in when I gave up breastfeeding. Breastfeeding wasn't easy for us. And I think that was another huge contributor as to why I was so anxious and so ragey. I was so burnt out. You go from like having one lot of like a mental load to having a whole human. Like it's just such a big shift. It's just like from one day to another you have all this extra information and thoughts in your head. So once I actually decided that breastfeeding was no longer for me, and that was an explosion. It wasn't like a decision. It was you need to stop this or it's not going to be good.
Yeah, okay.
Things really started to look up for me then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long after Blair's birth did you then decide you wanted to have a second?
So little Georgie, she was 2 when we decided to start trying again. And we always said literally right up until that 2-year period, like, oh my God, we are not doing that again. Like that was the most hectic experience of our life.
Yeah.
But yeah, something just kind of changed. Like we were in a good spot. And yeah, we decided about 2 years in that we were ready for another one.
Okay. And was that did you fall pregnant quite easily?
No.
No? Okay.
No, so with Blair I did. Obviously it was a surprise in the North Lakes toilet. And I expected the same this time, but it wasn't the case. So we tried for about 8 months and then fell pregnant. And that 8 months, which I know probably sounds super silly to some people, but because I was expecting it straight away, 8 months felt like a lifetime to us. Yeah. Finally fell pregnant, lost the pregnancy.
Okay.
And that's when we just went like this, we thought, we have a timeline, right? And we're very like scheduled people. We kind of have to be. And so we were like, well, let's maybe do IVF and try and like hurry this process along. So yeah, I ended up falling pregnant on my first round of IVF, which is extremely uncommon, my first embryo. It was a bit turbulent. I did have a subchorionic hematoma, which is essentially a very big bleed, which was very traumatic. I thought that I was losing the baby again. And yeah, but thankfully we got into the second trimester with Georgie and everything. I ended up stopping bleeding about 7 weeks pregnant.
Oh, so it continued. Was it a daily thing, was it?
Yeah, and like it was very heavy clotting, like very, very heavy bleeding. I couldn't even really leave the house. It was pretty intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that pregnancy like for you after that point?
After the second, once the second trimester hit, it was beautiful. And people don't always have this perspective, but I was actually diagnosed with gestational diabetes around 27 weeks, which I was kind of falling in the same pattern, I think, of eating whatever I wanted and all that sort of thing. But it kind of pushed me into eating really healthy meals and making better choices. So I actually, yes, it was difficult and I didn't end up having to go on insulin, but I am a pretty organised person, so I just knew that I had to do certain things and eat a certain way. And yeah, I feel like that kept me in really healthy state throughout George's pregnancy. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, great. And so being you had a caesarean for Blair, did you know that you wanted to go again for another vaginal? Yeah. For a vaginal birth. Amazing.
Yeah.
So this time you booked in for a refresher and we did it face-to-face.
Yes, and it was pivotal. Like it was so good. It was for me because I messaged you and said I was having a lot of doubts, which is fair.
Yes.
But yeah, I messaged you and I just kind of said like I'm having a lot of like mental blocks in being able to do it, but also please help my husband.
Yes.
Please, he really needs it. And we spoke about like his style of learning and all that sort of stuff. And you were amazing. You're like, babe, I got you. You're like, it'll be fine.
Get him in the room with me. Like, if you're willing to take that, because you made a trip out of it. I remember you're like, okay, we'll book us some accommodation.
Yes.
So it's not like, because it's an hour and a half drive or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So great. And did he feel that being in the room was a different experience for him?
You absolutely changed that man. Like he was all over it with George's birth. Like he was amazing.
Oh my God,
and I think the biggest thing for him was he was really scared about the risks because they talk about it a lot at the hospital. They actually called me a triple threat because I was having a VBAC, IVF pregnancy, and I had GD.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was constantly 1 in 200 people have uterine ruptures during VBACs. If you have an induction, it's 1 in 100. When we spoke to you, you really put those ratios into the actual perspective of what they actually are. So once Matt had that information, he felt confident, I think, to support me in my decision to have a VBAC.
Yeah, great. So now lead me into the start of
the best
George's labour.
The best ever. So, throughout I had like a really like psycho VBAC regime. Like everyone was like, you're a bit hectic. And I'm like, that's my style, baby.
Yes.
So I was seeing chiro every week.
Great.
I was going to acupuncture every single week. My mission was to take 4 weeks off before.
Yeah.
You know, I was due just to ensure that like I said, that mind-body connection was there. I was like Operation VBAC. When I would speak to people, I would be like I'm having a VBAC for my next baby. Blair actually went to daycare one day. It was like, my mummy's having a baby out of her vagina. And the teacher told me, I was like, yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
So everyone was like on team Operation VBAC. So coming into it, it was a Tuesday morning and it started. And I was a bit like, I'm not going to get focused on this. Like I'm not – last time I think I went into it like, dude, I'm in labour and I'm going to sit and I'm going to be in labour. Whereas with George, I just kind of was like, I'm just going to keep it going. I'm going to drop Blair to kindy. I'm going to walk around at the shops. And I just kept it really chill. I actually had a midwife appointment and I was like looking at the clock and they were 10 minutes apart, my surges. And I was like, they're very consistent, but I'm not going to – yeah. And
Did she know? Did you tell the midwife?
Yeah, I told her and she was like, sign this induction form for 10 days post. And I'm like, I'm in labour. She's like, just in case. I'm like, I'm not having an induction. But I signed it. I got it done. I was like, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have this
ready.
baby.
Have the birth pool ready. No.
Yeah, exactly. So then got home and again, I was like really in denial about it. And I was on the phone to my mum and her friend who's had 4 kids and they were like, you can't speak through these. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm not accepting that. And then it got to about 5:30 in the afternoon and my dad was like, you could have a baby tonight. And I was like, I'm not having a baby tonight. Like knowing me, I'm probably going to be in labour for 3 days. Like I was really stubborn, which, it's just, like, that's me. And so I was really tossing up whether to send Blair to my parents' house. I was like, do I not? Am I going to be in labour for days and days again? But I was like, I'll just send her off. Things escalated very quickly from there. Was
it when the sun went down?
Yes.
I tell this to all of my second-time clients. I'm like, you'll probably find that the labour will start, but the adrenaline's still there because you have a toddler, you have a child to look after. You're like, I don't have time for this.
Yes.
Then the sun goes down and then it kicks off and then they're born before the next sunrise.
Yeah, he certainly was born before the next sunrise. So I called my friend and I was like, come do my braid. She's like, I can't get there for 2 hours. I was like, that's plenty of time. It'll be fine. But I went into the shower. I was trying to kind of, even though you don't want to relive the last steps, you kind of do because you're just kind of looking for what's going to be right when you're in labour. So I went and had a shower and I was like, nah. And then I got my book out, my Shari book, and I'm doing all the, the swaying and I just noticed my breathing. That was the biggest thing. I noticed the sounds that were coming out and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is what Shari's talking about. So that was my first kind of, okay, maybe this is happening. maybe he is coming. And then I'm upstairs and I'm on the edge of the buffet table. I'm swaying and Matt's filming me. And then I turn around and I've got tears in my eyes. And he's like, heh. And I'm like, if I have another one of those, I think we have to go. And he was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I think we need to get ready. I'm not ready because I'm going to have a long labour, right? So I'm like, oh, we've got to get everything sorted. I had a TENS machine because I know you love the TENS machine. I didn't think that – I thought I'd have plenty of time to sit there and figure it out. So we're getting the TENS machine out and the batteries are still in the thing. So we're trying to get and then I'm like, you know what? Stuff the TENS machine. I think we've got to go. So I hop in the car and there's no way I'm sitting down. And I kind of saddle on my car, the passenger seat, and Matt comes out. He's like, do we need snacks? I'm like, get in the car. Because last time, he ended up not eating for 48 hours, so he was really concerned about whether or not he'd need snacks. Anyway, we hopped in the car. Within 2 kilometres of driving, he pulled over. He's like, I cannot drive like this. He's trying to help me. He's on the phone to the bursary. We're coming. I think the baby's coming. I know that you teach to, there's so many people that can be calm and I'm a screamer.
I roared my babies out, so I do. I'm the sounds.
Yeah.
Mums, if you're listening to this, you will make sounds you've never heard yourself make before.
Oh boy, when you do that, sometimes if I don't know, if there's an instance where I scream at home, Matt's like, oh, that gives me it gives me flashbacks. Don't make that sound. So we pull over, we call the paramedics to I actually made a joke 48 hours before to say that I wouldn't need an ambulance again, but the ambulance came. So we're on the phone and I actually said, like, I feel like I need to push, but my waters haven't broken. And she's like, it's like, just do whatever you feel is right, babe. Like, you just listen to your body sort of thing. And that's what I was like, get it together. Like, you know, get it together. And then my waters broke. So the ambulance got there, and after a long amount of debating whether or not to actually put me, like, strap me in, because like he was ready to go.
Yeah, right.
I got into the ambulance. And I think what's really special is I was like, give me morphine, like now. I need something now. They had it in the syringe, and Matt's in my ear. He goes, babe, you don't want this. Like, you said to me that you don't want this. You want your unmedicated birth. I think you're so close. Like, just listen to me. You've got this. And I'm so glad he did that, because I did have that.
Yeah.
But I got to the hospital, and straight away, like, I'm only saying this because it's an experience that people might find when it is intense like that. It was awesome.
Yes.
But it was hectic.
Yes.
Straight away, do you consent to having a catheter in your arm? You know, because I was a VBAC, they essentially want you to have, and we spoke a lot about this.
Yeah.
You were like, you don't have to do that. They're going to tell you, you know. So I was like, no, because we talked about if I did have it that I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, well, I normally will recommend, like,
Yes.
putting it here.
Yes.
Yeah. And just to make sure that everyone's aware, like, it's important to discuss your options. And though sometimes when language is used, they will imply like you have no choice. If you're a VBAC, that they'll say, well, you can only VBAC if you are continually monitored with a CTG and with a cannula. It's important to make sense of why they're suggesting this. So I really encourage if you're preparing for a VBAC, you need to ask questions.
Yes.
And know you have options. Like, no one has the right to just put a cannula in your hand without you knowing.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're like, do you consent? I'm like, it's great that they asked. And though you're about to birth a baby. Like, read,
so close.
Like, read the room here, people.
That's what I said. I'm like, read the room, babe. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I got a baby.
Unfortunately, the system is like they have their, we did what we needed to do. So I can empathise, if that's the word, with the caregivers, and though.
I know. But thankfully, my husband, again, because of everything we'd spoken about, was just like, no, lady, she's not having it. But I did consent to having the straps because in the ambulance they didn't have a Doppler.
Right.
And so I was like, is he
all good?
Like, after everything that I'd been through, I was like, baby dead. Like, I was just so scared.
Yeah.
And so I did consent to that, and that made me feel
safe.
Yeah. Safe is the perfect word. And then they said, this is the best part, they said, do you consent then to a vaginal check just so we can see where we're at? And I was like, absolutely. But also the thought of them putting their fingers in me at that point, I was like, but they didn't have to, because I read the birth notes, they split the labia and there was a head.
Yeah. So
they were like, Lia, do you feel like you need to push? And I was like, yes, I absolutely need to push, yes. And this is what I was referring to before when I said you're absolutely going to love this because of that, the difference in the course. And I think just having that face-to-face as well was like a huge benefit. But I was on the bed straddling again and started to push, and he just kept kind of coming back. He was like coming out, going back in, coming out, which, oh my God, I'm pushing out a baby right now. Isn't it the best? And I do remember at that point I was like having the contractions, and I remembered the rest and be thankful phase, which I remember I messaged you explicitly about this, because I was like, you know, and I remember actually thinking, no, this is what she's talking. I'm quickly piecing that the breathing, you know, that was the movements. And then, I'm like, this is the part where I need to catch up. This is the part where they give you like longer to breathe. And so I did that. And then that's when I really tuned into the way that my legs were. So I know we did a lot of movements, like we got down and dirty on the ground, but my feet were in like that.
Yes.
So
you always,
Yep. So
internal rotation.
I pictured your little pelvis thing, how you showed me what would happen. Yes.
So internal rotation does this.
Yes.
External rotation does this.
Yes.
So if your knees are out and your heels are touching, that's happening.
Yes.
But if your knees are in and your heels are out, that's what's happening.
So I pictured that very object when I was like in that position. And I'm like, no, that's what I have to do. So I said, I think I've got to move. And they were like, absolutely, like whatever position. There was like, I reckon there was about 12 people in the room because all the paramedics came in. They were like, we're going to go watch a baby be born. There was so many people, which at that point I did not care.
No.
They actually said that when I came in, I scared a lot of like parents away who were kind of like probably first time mum me sitting in there thinking it was happening. They were like, not at that level.
Yes.
Think we're going to go. So sorry to anyone who was there. And then I got to the side of the bed and I kind of like squatted.
Yes.
So again, that pressure, like helping that gravity. Because they did say, I think that I had a cervical lip, which I did have the first time. Yeah. And anyway, so it was like 2 pushes and I felt the ring of fire, which I was so grateful to feel because that was like my goal. I was like, I want to feel that, but it legitimately feels like a lighter to your vagina. But it was like, it was amazing. I was just so happy to feel it and it's so quick.
Yeah.
And then, my little Georgie boy's head was out and then 1 push after that, he was born. So that was 32 minutes after arriving at hospital.
Wow.
Yep.
And if you're open, like there is an amazing photo, which I would hope you let me share of Matt's face.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh my gosh, I was like,
yeah, he was just in.
Makes me like I tear up, like the joy on his face of you, like it's just the best photo. Who captured that?
I think it was my sister. She was like all over it because she almost didn't make it.
Yeah, right.
So she was like all over the photo. She actually has one of him like out.
Yeah.
So it's this beautiful head with all the stuff dripping. And I love that photo because I wish he had like a full frontal kind of shot. But obviously it was like, so many people, I don't know if I can get in there. But it's so special to me because it's him coming out of my vagina.
Wow.
So good.
And you got your VBAC. And that moment, like when you received him, like what was that like for you?
He was very slippery. Like I think it was like, I think the part just before that so Matt was in my ear and I know you said you're going to cry, but Matt was in my ear and he's like, babe, I can see him. He has hair. He is right there. Our beautiful Georgie boy. We have worked so hard for this baby. I can see him. You are doing amazing. Like he's in my ear saying these things to me. Like he's just beautiful. So beautiful. So,
and Matt's like a real like blokey
bloke.
He's like, you know, and to see the softness of that photo of him,
I think I can't. He recited the birth affirmations as well that you
I love
provide.
That.
I can't remember what they
tick,
were.
Tick, tick, tick. Great.
Oh, he was. That's what I mean. That face to face was just like absolutely. Yeah. He redeemed himself. So that I think was my moment to be like, I get to have this baby. Like I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. And then once he was there, it was very like slippery, and I was just like, holy crap. And when we like laid there, and I remember saying to my sister, so is this the golden hours? And she was like, yeah, this is pretty golden. I was like, well, it doesn't feel like silver or bronze. But I was just so like, we were just piecing it all together by that point because it all happened so fast. So it was the best ever.
And can I ask, because you mentioned before like that you didn't quite feel that connection right at the start with Blair.
Yes.
What was it like?
It was immediate. It was beautiful. It was instant. It was everything that I wanted it to be. It was, I think like if you have the option to do it, you should.
Yeah.
Because it's not the end of the story.
No.
And I think that's what so many people say is that if you have a cesarean, it's the end of the story.
It's not at all.
So not.
It's not at all. That's so amazing. Now, would you like to share a little bit about the postpartum with George?
Yes. So this time, I think the euphoria of having him kept me like, it lasted. Like I was on a high. I was like riding this high for, it was probably like 10 weeks straight. Like there was just absolutely nothing that could bring me down. I was on top of the world. I started going back to work. I was like advising people, having meetings, and George was just coming with me. And I was just like, I can do anything. I birthed a baby from my vagina. There is literally nothing I can't do. I definitely, But I was co-sleeping with him and he was a terrible feeder. He still is. But around 5 weeks, I had to go from breastfeeding to exclusively pumping even though I said I wouldn't do this, I did it again. But I was exclusively pumping and waking pretty much every 2.5 hours to pump, ready for him to wake, sort of thing. And I think because I was so happy, I ignored those orange flags that I know a lot about now.
Right.
About myself, all those signs, the rage, just little things. And so I started waking up in the night thinking about work or pumping and not being able to get back to sleep. And it wasn't until we went away, because I was kind of, ignoring them. Then we went away, which it was our first time going away with 2 kids, which is hectic.
Yes.
And I was still pumping, had to bring everything with me. And it was I think the best part was that because I was riding such a big high, that it was a very distinct flip. I woke up the next day and I was angry. My thoughts were very, I just don't want to do this today. Oh, I didn't get this last night, or he's going to, it was just a bit like that. And I immediately picked up on it.
Right.
I think after the experience with Blair, I had another level of self-awareness of what to look out for. So for about 2 weeks, my sleep progressively got worse. I was trying to put George in his bassinet. He was not a bassinet baby. And I was trying to start to create distance between us because we'd been co-sleeping. I felt like I was really ready for that. He was kind of squirming and it just wasn't working. But my sleep progressively got worse and I progressively got worse. So it was about 2 weeks, and I actually had an amazing mum. It's a business colleague who shared with me that we only have 2 in Australia, but it's a mum and bubs mental health unit for mums struggling.
I had never heard of this before. So when I read your message, I wanted to ask you a question about that. It's called the Brisbane Centre for Perinatal Depression?
Postnatal disorders.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just I think it's Carindale. The other one I think they said is in South Australia, 2.
Wow.
In Australia, 2.
Yeah.
And it's private. So I knew about this and I knew that they have both inpatient support and outpatient support. And I knew that my sleep was really affecting me and that I essentially needed a safe haven for a week where they support you with their baby. They have what they call, I think it's called a safe sleep program.
Okay.
So they essentially care for your baby at night while you get rest.
Wow.
Yeah. So I pretty much said to my husband, I'm going to this place.
Yeah.
And that is a very hard decision to make for someone like me who likes to be in control. I'm not really someone who loves to ask for help. I'm usually the one that helps other people. So that was a really vulnerable moment for me. But it was necessary. And my baby's only 1 next week and my mental health is the best it's ever been, and I'm unmedicated because of that 1 week in that hospital. It was very eye-opening, but to be around other mums all experiencing their own version of postnatal struggles was amazing. And then they have psychiatrists there, so you meet with a psychiatrist every day. I did go on medication for a short period of time to help with my sleep, and then obviously just getting full night's sleep, was you need that for your brain to recover.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was I highly recommend it for anyone who's at that point. It's an amazing resource that people actually just don't know about.
I've been doing this for 13 years and have never heard of the place before, ever.
Yeah.
So it's so good for me to know. I wish I knew about this, or at least I could refer, or, oh gosh, I might even reach out to them. I'd love to get someone from there, in here and let's talk about this and the support. And
they have an outpatient program as well.
Okay.
So it's essentially they run, they have the Circle of Security program. They have other programs that they run where essentially the mums kind of come in and, they had really practical, they had an occupational therapist. So they talk about, for me, this is really helpful, but in that stay-at-home mum period, they essentially say, do things in a different routine. Don't do anything in an autonomous way. If you, just change things up, everything. So just little tidbits like that. And then, I just think the environment of being around other mums is so amazing.
It's community, right?
Yes.
And here's part of the problem within our Western culture is that we've kind of isolated ourselves, or those who are in our community don't know how to help us because they were never helped, So that's so amazing. And it's so great to hear, you're at such a great place, mentally, your kids are great.
Yes. I really attribute it to that week. It was very scary and it was very uncomfortable. But it was pivotal for me because I was really upset. I'm like, this ain't my story this time. I'm not, I refuse. And also I think, I feel a lot for Blair, who had that mum the first time. She gets the first time mum. I got no idea what I'm doing, and so I just didn't want that same story for George. So I was very practical about.
And that's a testament to growth, right?
Yes.
Because if you do things the same way every single time,
yes.
What do they call that? Insanity. You go insane. Well, that is insanity.
Yeah.
So it's being able to, and that's what life's about. Life is, and it is a journey. And as much as we may be I want that perfect straight line over there, that's the journey I want. It's actually the journeys that take you off here that end up, as much as it can be challenging when you're in such a potentially dark place within yourself, and though you chose to get help, you chose to do something different. You it's all choice. We all have choice.
Yeah.
So rather than being in effect of this, depression or the anxiety, it's going, no, I'm not going to do this.
Yes.
So it's sourcing more resources and support for help, and I think that's very commendable. Because a lot of women that don't know about it, or they don't know that there are resources, will just unconsciously stay in it because they don't know how to help themselves, or that it's what it actually even is.
Well, I think for me, I attached my worth the first time to how much I did for Blair. So asking for support felt like a direct insult to my ability to mother. Yeah. That is 100% why. I wouldn't even let the special care nurses feed her. I would make sure that I was there every 3 hours. Even though I hadn't slept, I was getting sleep paralysis. I had to have a midwife be like, you need to rest. Yeah. We have got this. But I just couldn't let go.
Yeah.
And that serves me really well in a business sense.
Yes.
But as a mother, you need to lean on support. And that actually makes you an amazing mum to care so much, for starters, but to have enough vulnerability to just say, hey, I'm really struggling. Can you help me?
Yeah.
But I still get it now. This morning I'm like, I would love half an hour to just get ready on my own. But I feel bad. I'm like, I've got this, So I think it's just mums do put a lot of pressure on themselves to be that person, you know?
We do. Well, I'm so appreciative of you traveling down the highway and coming into my beautiful studio. I always finish now with a bit of a hot seat question.
Okay.
So I'm going to get you to finish the sentence. Just fire off the first thing. Okay. Birth is?
Magical.
Motherhood is?
Inexplainable.
I'm
like, I don't have a word.
Yeah. Healing is?
Hard.
Asking for help is?
Worth it.
Great. My greatest strength is?
Tenacity.
Love that. One thing I wish every woman knew about postnatal mental health is?
It's okay not to be okay.
One thing I wish every woman knew about caesarean birth is?
It's stillbirth.
It's stillbirth, absolutely. One thing I wish every woman knew about VBAC is?
It can be done.
Yeah, it can be. One thing I wish every woman knew about miscarriage is?
Oh, that gave me goosebumps. that you're not alone.
Yeah.
It's common.
It is. And that's why I want to talk about all of it on this podcast.
Sorry, I did so well.
You did so well. I need to actually make sure I have tissues here for my next. The best advice I ever received was?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Water fixes everything.
Okay.
Yeah, just for like me, the kids.
Yeah.
Like we always just say like water and fresh air fix everything.
Great. Love that. And the best advice I'd give another mum is?
Ask for support.
Yeah.
I think it's a very obvious thing to say, but ask for support.
Would you say that it's important for couples to actually have a postpartum plan?
I was actually going to mention this in relation to the postpartum mental health is what they did have us do there was we do it's called a crisis management plan, which sounds a bit hectic, but what it is essentially just you writing down what your signs are and what your strategies are when you are in that state. And just having your support people know that, what to look out for, how to help you, and what works for you. And just it doesn't have to be a crisis management plan, but just a mutual understanding of, hey, if you notice this about me, this is how you should handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. And, you know, your story has brought us through unexpected pregnancy into an unexpected birth, caesarean, miscarriage, IVF, VBAC, postnatal depression, postnatal anxiety. Like
the hematoma.
Yeah. It's a journey, right? And that's exactly why I've called my program The Journey to Birth, because there's not one journey that is linear or that is right or wrong. Every woman's journey, every couple's journey, every baby's journey.
Yes.
We've got to remember that this is how babies birth too.
Yes.
It is a journey. And when you are equipped with knowledge, tools, techniques, resources, good support,
yes,
you're the driver, but also know that it's important that you have your support people sitting 100%. In the back seat with you.
Yeah.
And your partner right up there who's awake.
Not falling asleep.
Great work, Matt. I do commend you. Like you did redeem yourself. So I love that. But I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing and being vulnerable and sharing your story, because I know this is going to help so many women. And
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
So a reminder, please make sure you share this episode, especially if you do know a mum that is potentially showing some of the signs that Lia has shared that she experienced in postnatal depression and anxiety. Share this episode. We need to keep sharing and supporting each other on this journey through pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and into motherhood, because it is a never-ending journey. So remember, I'm also here to support you as well. I will put all of the links down below in the show notes of how you can work with me, right from online to working one-on-one or face-to-face. So if you're in Queensland, just come and work with me face-to-face, because it's the best. Thanks for joining me on this episode, and I will see you on the next episode.